You know, there's something very much going on here. Do not dismiss this Tea Party rage, and it is rage, and it was expressed just in what you heard from Carl Palladino, that he wants to get the Republicans back to what is and should be in their DNA, limited government. Katrina Pierson is hoping to do the same, running against Texas incumbent Republican Pete Sessions. He chairs the House Rules Committee. He says he's plenty conservative enough, but not for Katrina. Niger Innis also filing the paperwork to run for a congressional seat in Nevada, up against, at this point, a Democratic incumbent. But Katrina, yours is an interesting battle right now because you're taking on a Republican giant here, intra-party. Democrats rejoice in that. What do you say to them?
Well, I say, you know, this is all about preserving the Republican Party in its whole. What we've seen over the last few cycles is Republicans can't seem to turn out their base. And Pete Sessions is the poster child for what's wrong with the Republican Party. You have a guy that's been in office for almost 2 decades. He's been a big supporter of all the big government opportunities, TARP, Medicare Part D, No Child Left Behind, and that's not conservative. Recently, we have the farm bills and the debt ceiling. This is why Republicans are struggling, and it's up to us.
But would he be preferable, Katrina, to the Democrat, though? Because many argue, you've heard this also, that you divide the Republican vote, and in waltzes a Democrat in a conservative Texas district, no doubt.
Absolutely not. That is false.
Okay.
This district is 60-40. A Republican is going to win that race, and this is where the grassroots works. We work in primaries.
Niger, what about you and your situation here? You said that it's time for Republicans to have a consistent message. So I take it with the Chris Christies and others, that is not your message. Why not?
Well, you know, I do not pit Chris Christie against Rand Paul or against Ted Cruz. As far as I'm concerned, they're all good Republicans. And the difference between the Republican Party today and the Democratic Party today is that everybody seems to be in lockstep within the Democratic Party. Here in Nevada, the entire Democratic machine is controlled by Harry Reid. He gives orders from on high, and the rest of the Democrats follow suit. The beauty of the Republican Party is that it is big enough to have a Chris Christie and to have a Senator Ted Cruz.
Well, maybe
but
so,
my
but to
district
Katrina's point, maybe so, Niger, but to Katrina's point, I'll let Katrina answer that in a second, but I do want to raise it with you, that it isn't all hunky-dory, and this tent isn't so big, and that a lot of Tea Partiers resent the rhinos, and the rhinos resent the Tea Partiers, and it's getting nasty. What do you say?
Well, I say that it is healthy for a political party to have a vigorous debate of ideas. Our country is in crisis right now, as you and Katrina and I all know. And it takes vigorous ideas, a vigorous debate of ideas, and be those ideas debated in a primary or in a general election, it is the status quo is just not working. After 7 years of Harry Reid being in charge of the Senate, after 5 years of Barack Obama, you have polls out there that show that among Democrats, by 2 to 1, they believe the American dream is dead. The status quo is not working. It's time for a change.
But Katrina, you argue that status quo extends to Republicans and this business as usual, moderate, middling approach, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this is where we are today. We have a Republican Party leadership who is kicking the can down the road, who is capitulating to every demand that this administration is pushing. They are letting this government run ad hoc. When you have citizens being targeted as criminals and you have the party actively forming PACs to take out its base, something is severely wrong when you see Republican establishment join with Democrats and the media to go against Senator Ted Cruz, who clearly is representing his party.
All right. I guess you're right. Maybe this will all be sorted out soon. In the meantime, it appears a little bit more raucous than a lot of people give it credit for, or Niger, you give it credit for. But I guess what would be your idea of how Republicans define themselves on money issues, Niger? It seems like when it's time to put the pedal to the metal, Republicans balk at the kind of cuts they talk up. That is, they criticize Democrats for being loath to cut entitlements, but when it's time for Republicans to cut things equally dear to them, let's say defense spending, they don't do it. So what's to stop Americans from thinking, well, Republicans talk a good game, but they don't deliver the goods? How would you be
well,
different
that's
if you
why
ran?
the sequester is so popular, because among many Americans, even though we know the sequester was sloppy in its implementation of cuts, a lot of us believe that quite frankly, that was the only way that we were going to reverse the insanity going on in Washington and spending other people's money. That's why a lot of folk are very comfortable keeping the sequester in place. And I've got to applaud. I know I'm the Tea Party moderate here and a civil rights advocate, but I got to applaud even some within the establishment, because folk like Mitch McConnell are holding the line, and they seem to be wanting to hold the line on the sequester and on reducing the size of government. That's got to continue.
I'm sorry, Nigel, but Katrina, you would agree with that, the better some sequestration cuts than no cuts at all?
Well, I agree with that, but to Nigel's point, let's talk about the sequester. The Republican establishment in the House wants to get rid of the sequester, Pete Sessions being one of them. When Republicans had full control under Bush, they did nothing. They did nothing for health care. They did nothing but spend more and put more government. They grew bureaucracy, completely opposite of what Republicans are supposed to be doing in office.
All right, fair enough, guys.
Guess
By
what?
the way, go ahead, Nigel, finish that point.
Real quick, without the Tea Party revolution of 2010, there would have never been a sequester.
Yeah, or that, you're right, Nisha
Absolutely.
said there'd never be this debate. And by the way, there wouldn't be a Speaker Boehner in the House, because they would have never gave the House. Thank you both very, very much.